We talked a little bit about what was happening with Harvey Weinstein, but Hollywood seems to be coming out in force against Harvey Weinstein. Stars like George Clooney, Jennifer Lawrence, Olivia Wilde are slamming him, but tabloids are claiming that Harvey got A-list help in the past to sweep some of the dirty laundry under the rug. Now, Lena Dunham just said too many men are silent about sexism in Hollywood. And has that silence enabled men like Harvey? That's a whole lot of questions.
I know.
I'm sorry.
I don't think it's just Hollywood. I mean, look at the presidency. People were quiet about all the lawsuits, sexual harassment lawsuits against Trump, 11 of them, I believe. So, you know, it's politics, it's Hollywood, it's men.
It's also corporate environment, because they used to have a lot of rules on the book where if you were signing on to work for a company, that means if there was, bless you, anything against the company, that you had to do silent arbitration.
And that was at the Weinstein Company and at Fox.
Yeah, so there was a culture of that.
Exactly.
It's not just Hollywood. But I think that Lena made a good point about men coming out. Like, we need to hear more male voices right now.
Yeah.
Because she said they need to signal that we do not approve of the abuse of power and hatred of women that is the driving force behind this kind of behavior. I think it goes further when you get men on board, too.
There's a lot of good guys that are not coming. I mean, George Clooney came out, but the good guys need to come out. I think that they don't understand. Oh, just one point. They don't. A lot of good men do not seem to get what it is to be in the position of an objectified woman. Because men are not objectified in the same way.
I sometimes objectify them, but...
Yeah, but it's rare. Idris Elba and a couple, and George Clooney. But that's kind of in fun. Mostly, the harassment is men to women. So they're not identifying, and there's no empathy, I think, there for us.
They may not believe that it exists, that it's as rampant as it is, because I think yesterday I said there's about 60 to 70% of women are sexually harassed at work. It's actually 80%. I mean, that is so significant. And I think you're right. Men have to come out and come forward. But I also think there's been this silence, this culture of silence, because they pay women off. Sexual harassment is usually just two people, and so there are no witnesses to it. And women are very nervous, I think, about coming forward when there's that power dynamic. Like, you have your supervisor sexually harassing you, and you're a single mom, and you got to pay your bills.
We're sitting here with an extremely legendary actress, and I read Jessica Chastain saying that she knew this culture. She had heard this about Harvey Weinstein. It was something that was well known. Jessica Chastain's an incredibly famous Academy Award-winning actress. So what do you do when you're in this situation where you're like, there's this pig who may sexually harass you, but if you want to be in a big movie and you want to get this job, and this is clearly something that's still happening in 2017, I'm surprised more directors aren't coming out. The Guardian tried to contact 20 people in Hollywood. Nobody's saying anything, and quite frankly, some of these statements are not good enough, from even coming out of women at the same time. Again, it's very strange because, again, I'm coming from Fox News. Well, I think that you have to understand that it's horrific what these women have been put through. This isn't just like, oh, you know, he tapped me on the rear end or something like that. It's like, you know, we've all heard some of these stories. Ashley Judd saying that he was trying to ask her to watch her in a shower. I mean, these are things that could traumatize you forever, that you wouldn't necessarily come back from quickly.
But it's hard to come forward. Look at Gretchen Carlson. I mean, she's a shero. She's the one that came forward and said, this happened to me.
She has been the tipping point.
She basically got O'Reilly fired. I mean, that's pretty good.
She has been, but I also would debate that she's been a cultural tipping point for a lot of things. I don't know if Harvey Weinstein would be in the position he's in if it weren't for Gretchen Carlson. But again,
Anita Hill, actually.
That's true.
Anita Hill is the tipping point for a lot of this.
Yeah, and we need...
Anita Hill is the cultural icon that started the discussion about sexual harassment.
That's true.
Yes.
Yeah.
And, you know...
Did you ever experience anything like that, though, where someone is saying, whoopee, don't
nobody was checking for me. But no, you have to remember, when I started out, I was the only one that looked like this. So I'm not, and in many circles, still not considered hot or sexy, so they wouldn't come on to me, and they'd be also hard-pressed to come on to me, because I would say...
But isn't it about power as well?
Yeah, but I have power. And
I've never seen
people
her be
know,
a shrinking
so that would not stand with me.
So what would you say to a Jessica Chastain, though? A Jessica Chastain who's coming up saying, you're going to meet with Harvey Weinstein, he's a pig, you know these rumors. What advice would you give to actresses?
I would say you have to make a decision. If you don't want to say, you know, I'm just going to suck it up and collect a check and just do it. And then later on, say, you know, this was really messed up what happened. I would say you have to make that decision. It's a hard decision for folks. It's a hard decision for women because you say, am I ever going to get the opportunity again? Can I still work? Is there anybody who will hire me?
Am I going to be blackballed?
Am I going to be blackballed? You know, but one could say there are lots and lots and lots of studios. There's lots of studios. Maybe it's going to take a little longer. Maybe it's going to be a little harder. But it's a decision that is hard for folks to make. It's not one that would sit well with me. I couldn't take the money. I'd have to hit him.
But think about...
I was not harassed at Fox, though, and I need to make that explicitly clear, but there is not a week that goes by that I wasn't asked if I was. So that, even just working there for the period of time I have, carries something with it. My brothers were deeply concerned at the time, asking, and again, I wasn't harassed. I'm not putting myself in the same vein as anyone else who was.
Well, me either.
But it carries stigma just the same.
They probably wouldn't spool around with you because of your father.
I think I don't.
That's
I
true.
mean, I'm sure there is a blanket coverage with that in a lot of different aspects. But
I don't see O'Reilly coming on to McCain's.
But I'm also like, give me some credit. I'm a tough chick too. I mean, I don't suffer fools very easily.
But the thing is, you know, you have power. You have power, but think about that woman.
No, wait. Let's talk about that because that's important.
Yeah.
I have power because I took it. I have power because the way I was raised, the way that I was raised said, you have to make a decision. Not everybody's going to like your choices, but you have to decide how you want to live. So because that's how I came up, I didn't come up because I was cute. I didn't get famous because I was cute. So I don't have a lot of the issues that a lot of women may be facing.
See, I think when you break it down to, let's say, someone in Middle America or someone in the South Bronx who is a single mom living in the projects and is working, you know, a minimum wage job, and her boss is coming on to her, she needs that job.
But I understand that, Sonny. Well, she does have the power. She does have the power. Yes, she has the power to say, you know what? I'm not willing to do this with you. I'm not willing to do it. I'd rather find another gig. It might take me a little longer, but I'm not putting up with
Sonny,
this.
I don't even think you have to be the, I don't even think you have to be the single mom, because I remember in my 20s witnessing people at work that I knew were aggressors, and I always joked I played dumb, because if you don't pick up on the signs, they're kind of like, wow, she's really not getting this.
That's it,
like, it's almost like playing dead. Like, I ran into those people, but I wasn't going to go down with a message because I hadn't experienced the actual abuse and I had avoided it. But that doesn't mean that I would be a pioneer to say I'm going to leave my job now, because it does, you do become a pariah.
Joy, I'm curious with you because there's so much scandal also in the comedy community. Did you experience anything? Did you know about anything? But if you were in a position where they were like, okay, you're going to headline this show, you're going to be on X show, but you'll know you'll be with a Harvey Weinstein, what would you have done?
Well, a guy came on to me one time at Caroline's Comedy Club, and he was in the business. He was a manager, and I needed a manager. And he said to me, hey, want to get...
Oh my God.
Really?
And I said, yes, see anybody? So, the moral of the story is don't harass a comedian. Because you're going to get shot down.
But it's all communities. It's not just the White House. It's look at Bill Cosby. It's media.
It's all over.
Everywhere.
But we have to make it imperative and important to women to come forward and not say, listen, I'm going to suck it up. We have to make it, they shouldn't have to make that decision.
But don't you think it would be good if women would practice a little how to respond in a way in the moment to get these guys away from
So sad
them?
we have to
It wouldn't
do
be,
that.
I mean, besides going to the authorities, which could be the second step, there should be a way. Like I just told you an example of what I did. I was harassed when I was a teacher back in the 60s.
Well, if you look at sexual harassment...
And the guy that was the department chairman, and I was giving a lesson. And the class left, and he came up and he said, I wanted to nail you, he didn't say that word, on the blackboard. And I said, but what about my lesson?
I think men
Which
need
threw
training.
him into, like, the guy didn't know what to say.
Everybody needs the training.
Well, when you have sexual harassment training in the employment place, you know, women are trained, I think, on how to react and who to report to. But I think we need to start talking to our little boys. I think we need to start talking to our brothers. I think we need to start talking to our husbands.
And we need to start talking to our sisters and saying, you do not have to take this.
Yes.
Your career does not rise and fall on this. Because if you take this, people are going to assume that you're okay with the behavior. And that's what you don't want people
But are we
to have.
somehow blaming the women for it?
Listen,
No, you're empowering them.
the women in this country also heard the President of the United States use disgusting language in that Access Hollywood tape.
Yeah,
and
but
then it
Bill
was, wait a
Clinton
second,
also had
I
things in
agree
the
with Bill Clinton,
White
and I
House.
took him on at the time.
Okay.
But this is the president we have now. And what we heard was, oh, that's just a locker room talk.
Yeah.
Don't you think that half the country and most of the children out there hear that and say, hey,
But there
I
are-
could talk like that. That's why the boys need to be told it is not locker
You
room
do.
talk.
The majority of
we do.
conservative men came out saying it was unacceptable. I will say that.
And I have to put this, because you just said something that I need to clear up.
Yeah, like
it's not blaming the harassment. You listen. If something is happening that's making you uncomfortable, and you choose the payout, it allows them to say, well, you were fine with it. You took the payout.
Is it a real
That's
choice?
what.
If you take the payout when you need that job,
Sonny,
you
you have
no
to make
way
it.
of surviving?
You have to make the decision. It's a decision. Are you going to take it? If you have to take it, then you got to tell everybody what's happening. But you cannot say that no one has a choice. You do. It's hard. It's hard. But at some point, we have to say to every woman sitting out here, if somebody does this to you, you got to scream from the top of your lungs. And other sisters will help you get another job. But you don't have to take that. That's what I think we have to do. You don't have to take this. It's not blaming anybody. It's just saying, yeah, we know it's a hard decision. Let us, as other women and as other workers, help you. Because this is not acceptable to any of us anywhere.